New Orleans Saints could have a sneaky good running back on their roster, and I'm going to take a deep dive into that player, and it's none other than 6th-round rookie Devin Neal of the Kansas Jayhawks. I am so excited about this player, and hopefully by the end of this video, you are too. Now let's take a look at what the running back room in New Orleans currently looks like. Alvin Kamara obviously will be the starting running back for the black and gold. Kendre Miller and Devin Neal, though, I think there is a real competition as to who could take over for the backup running back snaps, but also players like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Velus Jones Jr., Marcus Yarns, and Cam Akers also competing for snaps as well. But we're going to hone in on the Kansas Jayhawk. Really quick, I got to show you guys some pretty interesting stuff here. Browns report. They're over here jawing in my ear saying that Browns fans are better than Saints fans, which, oh my goodness, could not be further from the truth. So if you're with me and you think that the black and gold is way better than the brown and orange, hit the sub button, lock us in, and plus, you get daily Saints videos for 100% free. Now let's hone in on Devin Neal because this guy is a possible stud, a sneaky good player, a sleeper, if you will. In 2024, the Kansas Jayhawk had an extremely productive season, over 1,000 yards in 3 straight seasons, 16 touchdowns, and not to mention this is a player who also is very underrated as a receiving back, and I do believe that Kellen Moore can get extremely creative with using Devin Neal, and especially as a compliment to Alvin Kamara, taking some of the snaps off of his plate, lessening his workload to maximize the reps that Alvin Kamara does have. I think Devin Neal could be an excellent option in order to take over and alleviate some of the workload that Alvin Kamara has alongside Kendre Miller, and maybe even more so than Kendre. Though I want to hone in and share what Devin Neal had to say when he described his own running style and his own game, because I think it's very, very telling. And after that, we're going to look at what Devin Neal can do and where his strengths lie. But Devin Neal self-describes himself as a patient runner with great vision and a good feel for different run schemes. He says he's going to make you, he is a make you miss kind of guy, but he can also use power. He believes he's an every down back, and I'll tell you that right there, ladies and gentlemen, the mentality alone is something that's intoxicating that you should be buying stock into. He believes he can play on all downs to contribute in the passing game. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to get on the field, and that is a very strong mindset to have, especially for a young 6th-round rookie. That is exactly the kind of player that I want and exactly the kind of mindset that I'm looking for in a player that realistically is going to help potentially be a part of the future and rebuild this culture and rebuild all of the New Orleans Saints issues. I think that he can be a factor in improving what once was a terrible offense into hopefully a really nice unit moving forward. He has really, really good patience. The vision is off the charts. He's a very good runner, and he's really, like I said, patient and allowing run lanes to be established and then attacking those holes. He's very elusive as well, and he's extremely agile as a runner of the football, and I think those are underrated aspects in his game. And like I mentioned before, he's an underrated pass catcher. He's done a lot in the air for the Kansas Jayhawks, and I do think that he's a player that should be getting involvement in the passing attack for the New Orleans Saints. He's had a really high level of production at a consistent rate, and for me that is big because it feels like the theme of the New Orleans Saints in the past few years has been, let's draft projects, let's draft guys who we think can develop into something, and you know, sure, maybe there's not everything in the world wrong with that, but there's also something to say about a guy who over the last 3 years has over 1,000 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns in the past 2 seasons. Not to mention in 2024, 254 yards in the air on 24 catches, over 10 yards per catch. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a player who you should be excited about. One receiving touchdown in each of the last 4 years. Again, it's not the big aspect of his game, but he is an underrated player who's being undervalued and not discussed nearly enough. And going back to what we talked about with Devin Neal and what things he can do, he's also a workhorse back, and it's very evident by the way he described himself as, I'm an every down back. I want to do whatever it takes to get on the field. And It's just really, really easy to get excited and to buy stock into a player like Devin Neal. And if you needed a pro comp of what should we expect, what could he kind of do, Zach Charbonnet is a good player to take a look at. 135 carries, 569 yards, 8 touchdowns in 2024 for the 24-year-old running back. He also had 340 receiving yards on 42 receptions and a touchdown through the air. So if I'm looking at Devin Neal and I'm looking at Zach Charbonnet, I'm not saying that they are going to be copy and paste versions of each other, but I will say I'm going to look for a similar rate and a similar clip of production. And for what it's worth, if you can get 8 touchdowns from a 6th-round rookie, oh my God, you will take that to the bank and you'll run with it. I would be ecstatic to see Devin Neal have more than 6 touchdowns. That would be amazing. But 8 touchdowns from a rookie would be absolutely tremendous. So feed this guy in the red zone. Give him opportunities when you need to get those extra few yards, because I do believe he can not only be a workhorse back in the future, but I think that right now he can be a really, really good complement to Alvin Kamara, especially if Kellen Moore doesn't have faith in Kendre Miller. And I will say, in terms of Kendre Miller and Devin Neal, by no means is this a hit piece on Kendre Miller. I'm actually a big fan of his game, but the big question has just been availability and the lack thereof availability. And I will say I also really like the future of the running back room. If Kendre Miller can prove that he is a guy who can stay on the field and he can be prepared on game days, if Devin Neal can be a productive back out of and just be a good complement for the first couple of seasons in his career and then take over, I really think that that's a nice 2-headed monster in the running back room. That tandem can be very, very dangerous because both players, I don't think, have even gotten close, let me rephrase. Kendre Miller, we have not gotten close to seeing what he's capable of doing because he hasn't been on the field hardly at all. Devin Neal, I think, will have a lot to prove, especially because he fell so far down the draft board and ended up only getting picked in 6th round, which is absolutely crazy to me. He's a stud. I mean, unbelievable that he fell as far as he did. I want to ask you this question, though. Who's going to have more rushing touchdowns, Devin Neal or Kendre Miller? I personally think Devin Neal might have more rushing touchdowns, but rushing yards, it could go to Kendre Miller. But I want to hear from you in the comment section. It's your turn to sound off. Let me know what you think. Now, in terms of the future, I do still believe that Alvin Kamara will have a large role with this team, and by no means am I saying Alvin Kamara is going to start taking a back seat and Devin Neal is going to be the guy moving forward. But I will say the Saints should be looking ahead. They should not be focused on the past. Rather, they should be looking towards the future and building something that can have sustained success, not just one-off year of decent football because you have a really good running back in Alvin Kamara. The plan and the vision should be set in the next couple of seasons. Of course, you want to have a successful run this year, but the future is really where your eyes should be pointed towards and where you should have your focus. And where else you should have your focus on is this awesome deal. $60 t-shirt on sale for $24. It's Nike, it's Saints, it's sideline gear. You can get yours, chatsports.com/Saints sale. Link is clickable in the comments and description of this show. And if you're tuned into our live program here Wednesday, every single Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central Time, it's in the live chat for you. My guy Loco Lopez dropped it in there, so go get yourself geared up and swagged out before this season gets going. Plus, it's so damn hot. I know you need some new gear. Let's talk about the rushing offense, because as a whole, it was extremely underwhelming last year when you take away a handful of really, really good games from Alvin Kamara. Reminder, he missed some time last year due to injury. And I think just purely in the rushing offense alone, that will be better based off of the moves they've done this offseason. New coaching staff, new offensive line pieces, running back changes with bringing in Devin Neal, cutting Jamal Williams. I think that this is going to be a much better offense on the ground especially, but it all starts with the big fellas up front. The trench warfare is where the Saints need to win. Kelvin Banks, I have a lot of hope in, and my eyes are very, very glued to not just him, but Trevor Penning as well. I got a lot of faith in Talese Fuaga. I'm not too concerned about him moving back to his natural position of the right tackle spot, but Trevor Penning on that left side and Kelvin Banks, those are going to be two players that if they can put it together and they can prove to be the guys that they were drafted to be, it will only make everything easier, and it will only make everyone's lives better, not just as fans, but for the Saints players and the coaching staff as well. I do believe with Devin Neal, he's not just a good football player, he's also a good culture guy, and he's a good locker room presence. He has very, very strong leadership skills that have been commended not just by his coaches at the Kansas Jayhawks, or at the collegiate level with the Kansas Jayhawks, but he's also been recognized already by media and by coaches, and that's been a big, big thing for Devin Neal, and it's really important that he does have those strong leadership skills because, like I've mentioned in many videos before, Kellen Moore has to build something. He has to create a culture, and it can't be a culture that we had with another coach, and it was a few years ago, and we were winning all these games. It was fun. You can't go and do something entirely different but try to be the same. You got to create your own culture. You got to create your own team, your own dynamic, and Devin Neal, being the strong leader he is, can help be proactive in developing, creating, and building a strong foundation for the foreseeable future for this New Orleans Saints team led by Kellen Moore. And this is not a task that he takes lightly. He says that he takes being a team captain very seriously. I don't think you just put a C on your jersey. I take it as a job and take the good with the bad. Always holding guys accountable. I'm the type of guy that does whatever it takes for them to win. I'm never a me-first type of guy. I want to win a Super Bowl with the Saints, and I'll do whatever it takes. I kind of already said it. Kellen Moore has to build a culture. Devin Neal, I believe, is a building block within the rebuild of this culture. And I am a strong believer, and I have a lot of faith in the player that he is, not just on the field, but also in the locker room, in the community as well. I'm really excited about the future of this player, and I think that this offense is really headed to some special places led by Kellen Moore, and hopefully Devin Neal can be a big factor in that. Get down in the comments. I want you to join me in showing some love to Devin Neal. I know a lot of the Saints players watch our channel here at Saints Now by Chat Sports, so I want them to see that we are all pumped up about him. We are all excited to see him suit up on game days. So type 30, his jersey number, down in the comments section and show some love to our rookie running back, Devin Neal. Who Dat Nation, I really do appreciate y'all for rocking and rolling with us in today's video. Friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel. Let's prove Browns Report that the Saints fans are the best fan base in the whole wide world, not those frauds out in Cleveland. I mean, who the hell vacations to Cleveland? Nobody. Who Dat Nation, y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.